And I'm here to tell you that there's going to be a lot of nonprofit organizations that are going to step up in this moment, because there are going to be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution that we all saw unfold, unless there is some kind of justice that takes place and we get the name of that officer and that officer is prosecuted. So I ask that law enforcement, we have oversight over them. I am the oversight ranker. Let's go ahead. In fact, I make a motion that we have a hearing in the oversight subcommittee as it relates to this particular issue and what took place.
House Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. This has angered so many different people in so many different ways.
What do you need a hearing for? What do you need a congressional hearing for? Make it make sense. Welcome to the TMYK show. I am Mike, your host, better known as Mo. Today we're going to be dealing with Roland Martin. It's time to expose him for his racist rhetoric, how he's trying to keep black people on the plantation, how he is the master's watchman. He is what they call the gatekeeper. So we're going to get into him giving Jasmine some accolades and dealing with him and his little panel. And as always, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe with all, and share. All right, let's do this.
Jasmine Crockett really challenged Republicans on this issue and said so many folks, Democrats, were disturbed by this woman being gunned down, and Republican response is pretty much callous and indifferent.
It is so hard to sit here sometimes, because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened.
Stoking division. Why is it about just the Republicans versus the Democrats? It's tore up people on both sides. I believe more on the Democrat than the Republican side, but there's tore up people on both sides. And excuse me, Miss College graduate, it is not killed. It is killed, not killed. Let's see if you're going to say it one more time.
Happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was?
See, she said it twice. So she don't even know how to say killed. But you're educated. And that's an easy word to say, killed, not killed. But she's educated. And this who y'all following, okay? She going to be a senator, okay.
Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A
child. She funny.
A child is not serve mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants.
Where are the tears? They should be rolling down your face right now, woman. They should be running down your face right now. But are they? Because you full of shit.
Are bad. And so we got to get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm. They're bringing the crime. The mayor of Minneapolis told y'all to get the fuck out. Yet y'all are the ones, it is.
And first off, how you gonna tell the federal government how to do their job? And they work in all 50 states, dummy. How they gonna tell you to get the fuck out of a place that you have residence? In all 50 states, they have ICE facilities. Did you know that? It ain't that they're traveling there. They are in every state. They have reinforcements to come in when they send others. They are not sent into every state. They already exist in every state. But they don't want you to know that, telling them to get the fuck out. What does that mean? But because they play on your ignorance, you think that, oh, they came in from somewhere else. No, they are there already. They have offices, buildings that they reside in, that they meet in daily. ICE is not a part-time job. It is a full-time job in all 50 states, period.
This administration that is bringing crime to their streets. That's what's happening.
It's the third incident where somebody has dropped an F-bomb in this committee, including the video.
I'm sorry.
Including the video that we had to watch earlier.
Are your princess ears okay?
Is it profanity?
Your princess ears
House of Representatives.
The committee.
You are about the fact that a woman.
Are you soft?
House of Representatives.
The gentlelady.
Are we offending your princess ears? Are they that soft?
And I just want to show you, look how the government is a joke. This is a joke. It's a circus. And we're paying these people for what? What are we paying all these people for? Taxpayers? For this type of charades? For one side to call the other side evil, racist, white supremacist. All of these things is how it's hurled at from one side to another one. I don't hear the Republicans calling them, they just call them dumb. That's all they call the Democrats, dumb. I've never seen nobody be threatened because they were called dumb. But I have saw people threatened and even killed being called fascists, being called dictators, being called racist, being called white supremacists. I have known of people being labeled like that to receive death threats. If the Democrats are receiving death threats, it's because people are tired of their bullshit. But the Republicans are receiving death threats because you're labeling them things that society do not like and are embrace. And if it's going into the wrong ears, they believe it's their job to do something about it. But nobody's worried about somebody calling somebody dumb and low IQ. Please.
All members will.
Maybe some of the
suspend.
kids out there.
Mr. Chairman, it is the gentlelady's
You're killing
time.
them.
Kids.
It is the gentlelady's time. Let's let her have her time. It is the gentlelady's time. Would you stop the clock for a moment? Okay, and
That was the quote.
I'll restore that. The chair will remind all members that the person controlling the time is not to be unreasonably interrupted. We would further admonish that whenever possible to express the full meaning of something, it be done so without an expletive that may be offensive to people here in the audience or those who watch this on television. I understand that a quote at times is essential, but I would admonish everyone that It has been the practice of this committee for the many years I've been here to use such things as F-bomb in order to get the message out without actually using the word. Notwithstanding that, the gentlelady will be recognized for this time plus an additional 20 seconds. The gentlelady may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Long story short, we are sitting in judiciary and no one on that side of the aisle seems to care that this particular person, whose name we don't know at this point, became the judge, jury, and executioner.
How do you just label a group of people? How do you just label them like that? How do you just say that they have no regard for this woman? How do you do that? But that's what they do. But that's what they do.
I don't know how you square that. And then we're sitting here literally in markup for a bail funds bill. When I first ran for office, it was in the midst of yet another lynching by law enforcement in Minneapolis.
Trigger words, lynching. Let's see who lynched.
At that time, it was George Floyd.
So George Floyd was lynched? But you see what they do? You see what they do to instill fear and anger and cause uproar? What does lynching have to do with George Floyd? But that word, oh.
I remember working as a pro bono criminal defense attorney to help protesters that were being arrested. There were more than 600 protesters that were arrested in Dallas. There were churches that came together to make sure that there were bail funds. There were nonprofit organizations. And to explain how it works for bail, since we're in judiciary and we're writing the laws, and some people may not understand this, but those bail funds, those nonprofit organizations are not the ones that determine whether or not somebody gets bail. What they do is they help out poor people, which I know y'all are not interested in either, but they help out people that aren't rich and famous and have limitless amounts of money, like all of the Epstein defendants who.
And to help you all out in educating you, because she doesn't seem like she will ever try to do that, continue to blow smoke up your ass. If you're in peaceful protest, how are you being arrested? Why would you need a bond? Kamala Harris put up a GoFundMe page to raise money to bail out people who were committing violence in our communities, who were setting buildings on fire, who was rioting. That is not a peaceful protest. And you do not need bail if you are doing a peaceful protest. This is a bunch of bullshit that she's talking to you about right now, instead of telling you that you don't need bail if you protest peacefully. That is not illegal.
Somehow y'all can't find, even though y'all went and got Maduro, but it helps out those people to be able to get out of jail. Many of those people that if they spend just a couple of days in jail will then be thrust into straight up poverty because they will lose everything. Why it is that you want to criminalize people such as churches that are trying to help the poor because they understand what the Bible says, and they don't just say that they understand it or say that they love Jesus, but they decide that they actually put it into works because faith without works is dead. That is wrong too. And I'm here to tell you that there's going to be a lot of nonprofit organizations that are going to step up in this moment, because there are going to be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution that we all saw unfold unless there is some kind of justice that takes place and we get the name of that officer and that officer is prosecuted. So I ask that law enforcement, we have oversight over them. I am the oversight ranker. Let's go ahead. In fact, I make a motion that we have a hearing in the oversight subcommittee as it relates to this particular issue and what took place.
House Councilwoman Jasmine Crockett. This has angered so many different people in so many different ways.
What do you need a hearing for? What do you need a congressional hearing for? Make it make sense. Wasting taxpayer dollars. The pictures are there. The investigation is going forward. And let's look at the evidence. Let the investigation play its way out. And we'll see the end result. And the end result is the man was just going to be justified. Period. She got in harm's way. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She brought this on herself, and I pray for her and her family. But she cannot impede on officers doing their job. And from what I understand, they were just trying to get themselves out of snow that they were stuck in. And this is the harassment that they started getting.
And former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is weighing in, saying he is so pissed off with what's going on that he actually may run again for governor. And he had
he don't have to worry about it. He won't win.
To Donald Trump. Check this out.
No audio.
All right, so I got to again having some slight audio issues. I'll fix that. But Ventura, he called Trump a rich white boy and said we're living in a third world country. So I have that video for you in just a second. I want to bring in my panel right now. No, they can't wait to weigh in, and so let me welcome to the show, as we always do on Thursdays. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. Glad to have Greg back. First time in 2026. Greg, good to see you. Reese Colbert, host of the Reese Colbert Show, Sirius XM Radio. Glad to have you on the show as well. Dr. Nola Haynes, of course, Georgetown University School of International School of Foreign Service. Glad to have all three of y'all here. Let me start with you, Reese. It's been a whole lot that's been going on. It's just been literally crazy what has been happening. And just as Adam said, the lies have been coming just full tilt from these wackos in this administration. But that's what they do. They're following the liar in chief. He lies, they lie, and they say, what the hell? And MAG is so dumb, they believe the lies.
Well, yeah, I mean,
What lies, Roland? What lies? What are you talking about? We're talking about a woman got shot. We got all type of video on it. What lies? Blowing smoke up your ass.
Want us to believe in alternate reality, and what they should really do is be embarrassed. We know that this administration has no shame, but typically you would hear measured responses out of DHS, out of the White House. If you didn't have degenerates running the country, you have Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, and I can't even think of an insult for Christy. No, she's just the bitch. And so you have these people of very low moral character.
But that's what they can do. They can throw words around. What if somebody call you a bitch? But they say you acting like a bitch, that you are right now, because the stuff that's coming out your mouth don't make no sense. And I'm looking at a group of Beavis and Buttheads right here, right now. That's who y'all are in the rest of the game.
Who are essentially saying that white lives don't matter. Because this was a white woman who was a U.S. citizen who was gunned down by a person who has zero jurisdiction over U.S. citizens. ICE is not law enforcement. And that is something that I want every single Democrat to repeat. And that is something that I want the media to make very clear. ICE is not law enforcement. ICE is immigration enforcement. Immigration enforcement does not have jurisdiction.
Which is law enforcement, because it's one of our laws, dumb. No, they don't enforce local law when it comes to traffic tickets, other crimes that you commit. No, that's not their job. They deal primarily with immigrations, which is a part of law enforcement. Dummy.
Over American citizens. They do not have jurisdiction to dictate a traffic stop. They do not have jurisdiction to pull somebody out of their vehicle. And they for fuck sure do not have jurisdiction or immunity to shoot a woman in the head as she's driving away. This ICE agent escalated the situation by stepping in front of the vehicle, by trying to physically assault Renee.
And they are so concerned about white people now. Maybe a white woman. If that had been a white man, probably would have been the same thing, and you'd be getting the same thing. But these same people, Roland Martin's ass kissers, are on there with him talking about white people all the time. But in this instance, oh wow, they killed that white woman. You don't care nothing about white people. You're taking advantage of a moment. You're trying to anyway, but it won't work.
And then he turned around and murdered her in cold blood. And as opposed to doing the proper thing, which is say that there would be a thorough investigation, there would be accountability, and trying to distance himself.
Trigger words. Jasmine Crockett, lynching. This heifer here, murder. Please stop it. But that's what y'all want to do. Take advantage of a moment.
They're cheerleading it on because they want to empower their white nationalist vigilante militia to go around and targeting anybody. And if you're a white person that gets away with their white nationalist agenda, then your ass is grass too. That's why I've been calling this Trump crow. That's why I've been calling this Trump crow, because it is not just an attack on Black citizenship. It is an attack on every American that does not fall in line with the white nationalist billionaire trillionaire agenda. And unfortunately, a woman who is a mother who now leaves orphans behind has paid the ultimate price. She was not a radical. She was not a terrorist, which apparently now all of a sudden they recognize terrorism after just rewriting history on January 6th a couple days ago. Now all of a sudden they want to say that a person is escalating it, as opposed to when they were blaming the cops in January 6th a couple days ago. So there's no intellectual consistency. The only thing that's consistent in here is cruelty is the point, depravity is the point, and white power is the point.
What we're witnessing here, Noah, is simple, and that is what Trump wants. He wants the TV show. This is all about a television show. It's all about, this is a live version of 48 hours. The media budget for ICE is crazy. They got their own cinematic cameras there, and they're dropping all of their creative videos. And so what they're saying to their white base, look at us. We are rounding these people up and throwing them out of the country. That's what all this is about. And listen, Fox News is driving the propaganda arm, conservative talk radio, the digital people. That's what all this is. It is all about driving this whole notion, this idea.
He bring up all of these, the conservative media, Fox News. Why are they just so much on Fox News and conservative media? Who brings you the truth? Who, in most cases, don't blow smoke up your ass. And the conservative media, he's very much jealous of, because they run a ring around him. Because nobody wants to hear your bullshit, Roland. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit. I look at these brothers over here, your Tatums, LFRs, you know, your DeVories. These are black men, conservatives, that's running the ring around you, period, when it comes to viewership. And that's why you bring them up. But you need to come over here and be a part of this and get out this bullshit that you in. And stop blowing smoke up black people's butt. Because we're black don't make us Democrats. Don't you understand that? Your dumb ass.
That we are running these brown people out of the country. And so you name it. So whether you are Somali, any African nation, if you are Venezuelan, Mexican, whatever, we're running these people out because we want this to be for us. It is absolutely about whiteness.
Absolutely. It is performative strength. And this is what happens when you get a reality star rolling down the escalator, announcing his presidential aims and goals. And so we have not left this horrible, horrible reality show that we are all forced not just to watch, but to also participate in. And, I want to say something about the way that this administration, not just Trump 2.0, but also Trump 1.0, the way in which he uses terrorism as a legal justification for enacting whatever sort of crude national security foreign policy this regime has in mind. And one of the reasons why I say that this is performative, and to your point, Roland, when you look at statistics, the amount of folks that are being sent out of the country, the numbers are actually not that far apart from the last administration. So all of this performance, all of this fear of having the ICE officers in their gear,
So if it's about the same as the last administration, what's the uproar? If it's about the same, but I don't know where Biden sent anybody out of the country. Show me where he sent anybody out of the country. They didn't send people out of the country. So what are we talking about? It's the same. So what's the uproar? What's the anger? What's so outrageous and so outlandish where they had the borders open? Did you report on that, Roland? Did you report on that? Did you report on how they had all the baby formula down at the borders when I had brand new grandbabies and was trying to figure out where are my kids going to get milk for their children because we were having a shortage. You remember that, Roland? Did you talk about that? Hell to the no.
And, their guns and all of this stuff, it is definitely meant to scare communities into compliance, right? These are not the acts of leaders who are America first, because they shot an American in cold blood in her face for us all to see. And for the folks that were so worried about Jasmine Crockett dropping the F-bomb, how do you think those kids felt when they saw all those videos on TikTok and Instagram? Because when I first saw that video yesterday, there was no warnings. Those kids that congressman was so worried about hearing the F-bomb saw that lady get shot in her face and in her head. That's what I'm worried about.
Did they see that? I didn't. Y'all got a picture of that? I haven't seen a video of that. Maybe there is one, but I haven't seen that one. But the bottom line is that it was not purposed to be on television, on camera. That's the world we live in today. And she came in contact with an officer, with an ICE officer, with her vehicle. And he had to defend himself. And for those of you who don't know, guess what? He had just gotten drugged about maybe a month or so ago where he had to get 33 stitches in his leg by an illegal immigrant driving off and his car dragging him for about 50 yards, okay? So, of course, he is one that is on high alert when it comes to a vehicle. And when that vehicle came toward him, He had no choice. His first instinct was to shoot. To what? End the threat.
That's what I'm worried about the kids seeing. I could care less if Jasmine Crockett is dropping the F-bomb in Congress. More F-bombs need to be dropped in Congress. All of this is so upsetting, Roland. You know, my week started off with the 1-6 hearings on the Hill. They were emotional. I sat there and I watched Nancy Pelosi the entire time, Roland. I watched this woman sit there for hours while she listened to testimony, while she testified. And that woman got up there and she said, I still pray for Donald Trump. This man who has done everything in his power to make her life a living hell and the rest of us, our lives a living hell. So all.
But no, he's trying. We don't know the story of Nancy Pelosi and how she has called Donald Trump everything but God's child. You don't remember you giving her all these praises. It's not good. Hey, the Bible says it's not good for everybody to pray for you. I wouldn't want Nancy Pelosi praying for my roaches. Please hear me. Thank God I don't have none. But I wouldn't want her praying for nothing of mine. Me or my family or nobody. You don't remember when that woman stood up right there when Donald Trump did a State of the Union speech and she tore up his speech in front of everybody? But you can give her all these accolades. Donald Trump that made her life a living hell. He ain't made mine. And I bet you there's way more people who believe like me than believe like you and Roland Martin and you, the other cronies on here.
All of this is taking a collective toll. And that's what I felt from Jasmine Crockett today. She said what we wanted to say.
But the whole thing here, Greg, is again, it is this. That's also by design. It is to completely this is sensory overload. So whether it is this, it is Venezuela. It's everything that they're doing, every policy decision, Doge, the cuts, all of this sort of stuff. It is saying we're going to wreck all of this. And I was texting an anchor, was texting someone who works for a network, and this person was saying how this is so hard for mainstream media to keep up. I said, no, actually it's not. I said, because you got these 24-hour networks. I'm like, y'all can talk about more than 2 or 3 things on one day. Like, we don't have to have every show talk about the exact same thing every hour for the whole day. And that's part of the deal. And so they know how media works. And so the morning shows, and the show at 9 a.m. and at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. and noon and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the primetime shows are going to be talking about the exact same story in the same way, as opposed to examining all of these different facets and how these people are undermining the Constitution, undermining democracy, how they are attacking different people. And one of the greatest
who you going to find telling stories and their news clips, you look at these liberals, CNN, MSNBC, your local networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. Look at them and see how they coordinate, how they bring you the news, how they will not bring you certain things. It is all orchestrated, Martin. It is. But it's on you all side because you all limit the information. You all scrutinize the information. Just like they say, we don't show a whole Donald Trump speech because we know that he manipulates or he lies. I don't need you scrutinizing nothing, no speech of Donald Trump's for me. Let me hear the whole thing and come up with my own conclusion. Then you can tell me afterwards what was a lie. But you got to not let me see it. And then when you do show it to me, you show me the bits and pieces you want me to see. How does that make sense? But that's your media today. CNN, MS Now. When you've heard people say, we don't show his whole speech because he lies, so we'll break it up for you and bring you what we want you to know about his speech. Bullshit.
Failures to what we see
is a media that absolutely is abhorrent. You've got people who are whoring themselves to do the bidding of Donald Trump. You got these corporate interests who are all about their stock.
Who are you whoring yourself to? Who are you whoring yourself to? Because all this bullshit you bring out, all this misinformation you bring out is bullshit. So who are you whoring yourself to? Blowing smoke up black people's ass. Who are you whoring to?
Price and their other deals and their theme parks and their packaging companies and all that sort of stuff. They don't care. And so you used to have caretakers in media. The Sulzbergers of the New York Times and Catherine Graham at the Washington Post, and you had Paley at CBS. You had people, Golderson at ABC and Sarnoff at NBC, people who believe in the public trust. These folks kind of like, yeah, we don't want him looking at us because he's going to criticize us.
Going to criticize them. Going to criticize them. But Roland, that's what you do, sir. You mess around and you give these people this bull crap. Who are you beholden to? I remember when King Randall came on your show a few years ago and how you ridiculed that young man. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget how you did that young man who was trying to help the youth. And he told you you were trying to bring him into some other bullshit. He said, that ain't my fight. And you ridiculed that young man for it. Now, I'll never forget that. Never, ever, ever. Believe you old enough to be that man's daddy. And you did not give that man no props on what he was trying to do. You were angry and became angered at that young man because he said your fight was not his fight. Everybody don't have the same mission, Mr. Martin. Everybody don't have the same mission. And newsflash, all blacks are not Democrats or are Democrats. All blacks are not Democrats. They are not. A black man can be with whatever party he wants to be with. He can vote for whoever the fuck he want to vote for, period. Because I'd like to ask you, why in the fuck you such a Democrat? Let's sit down and have a discussion, Mr. Martin. Let's find out who really has a clear understanding on what this politics is all about and who you should truly be voting for and with. And I guarantee you, it would not be somebody like a damn Jasmine Crockett, period.
These folks kind of like, yeah, we don't want him looking at us because he's going to criticize us.
That's right. That's right, Roland. Is my sound okay? Can you all hear?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, good. Just want to check.
Professor of African Studies. You teach them about they had black slaves, blacks had slaves. You teach them about that, dude? Hell no, I bet you that ain't a part of your curriculum. Because if you teach them that, then guess what it would do? It would soften the blow on this racist bullshit. Guarantee you not telling them about blacks who had slaves. Because that'll quell a lot of this shit down if you all were doing your jobs and really teaching our black people. But you're not doing it.
I'm very much encouraged by these events. Not encouraged, of course, by the death of Miss Good. That's a true tragedy. When you think about her, we may look back at this and put her in the same breath as Viola Louiso or in Alabama or Andrew Goodman or Mickey Schwerner. Sometimes, unfortunately, white death is a trigger. And of course, this happened around a mile from where Big George Floyd, of course, lost his life. But let's be crystal clear about this. Let me start with our Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Please don't cry. That's what they want. There's no reason to cry. There's no reason to cry because these are not human beings you're dealing with. There's nothing to appeal to. So let's get out of this whole idea that we can appeal to some greater moral sense. You just heard a purebred clown, a racist, tell the New York Times, the pliant New York Times, that the world now bends to his morality. Donald Trump doesn't have any morality. It's an oxymoron. What we have to do now is reframe the narrative. So I think
Greg, just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. I want you to finish that. This is from ABC News. And so 2 people have been shot by federal agents in Portland. It says 2 people were shot by federal agents in Portland, Oregon on Thursday. Local and federal sources told ABC News the FBI is responding to the scene. Federal agents involved in the shooting are with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, not Immigration and Customs Enforcement, according to sources. Craig, go ahead.
Thank you, Roland. And of course they were, and there will be more. There will be more. They will join an indefensible.
And just so you know, this is a tape that's a couple of days old, as far as what I'm showing here. But the people that were shot, they were terrorists and they were human traffickers. Okay? That's who they are, and illegal immigrants. Now, how they came into contact with law enforcement, that is we don't know yet, but it all will come out. And I believe they were shot for the same reason. I believe they were using their car as a battering ram or what have you, as a weapon. And that's why they were shot. But it'll come out. But the 2 that were shot were known terrorists and human traffickers. It was a male and a female, okay? So you can go check it out, but that's what it was, and they trying to make it something already. He just heard it, and now listen at this asshole and what he's trying to make it be, and he don't even know. They just got it, and they still coming up with bullshit, showing you how they don't care. They want you to believe bullshit. They bullshit.
Piece of a human being, a little man whose little tiny manhood sheathed by cloth over the top third and bottom 2/3 of his face. Jonathan Ross, as it is now being reported, USA Today, among other media sources over the last couple of hours, have reported that the enforcement operations officer identified the killer of Miss Good is named Jonathan Ross. And this isn't the first time that he has assaulted other people. And this doesn't have anything to do with citizenship either, y'all. Let's stop using that. Let's stop reframing this in terms of it was a U.S. citizen. It was a human being. Let's just level set on that. But what I really want to, us to spend a moment on, which is, again, why this platform is so important and why you should turn off all that commercial news, mass media entertainment crap, is this.
And listen to Roland and you dum-dums he got with you, that he got with him. Like your dumb ass. Please. Because I'll be dealing more with him. Please hear me.
Larger strategy, as we said, not just to intimidate, not just to cow, but to set a set of forces in motion so that the response can then trigger another response. Let's go to the beer drinking Brett Kavanaugh on the United States Supreme Court, part of the MAGA 6. We saw a couple of weeks ago in the Trump versus Illinois case, where they said you can't use the National Guard. Kavanaugh wrote a concurrence separately. By the way, he also snuck a little footnote in his concurrence to say that you shouldn't be racially profiling. That's because he's mad because remember that case back in September, the Nome case, Nome versus Vasquez Perdomo, where he said you can racially profile, thereby leading to a label that apparently he hates, which is why I'm going to repeat it now. We should burn it into our vocabulary. Kavanaugh stops. That's what they're doing now. I'm going to stop you because you look a certain way. The Kavanaugh stops. He hates it. Well, go to hell, Bill Kavanaugh, Beer Kavanaugh. But he wrote a concurrence to slip in something they're going to bring back around. And that is, even as the Supreme Court said 6-3, they weren't going to pause the injunction that won't allow Donald Trump to put the National Guard in Illinois and Oregon and California. Kavanaugh wrote separately and said, but, maybe there might be a way to evoke, I don't know, the Insurrection Act. See, what they want to do is put the U.S. military in these cities because they are engaged in a domestic war, finally.
If putting the military in our neighborhoods as we've seen it in Memphis, We've witnessed it in Washington, D.C. If putting the military in our neighborhoods will make them safer, then so be it. Then so be it. Whatever it takes. But that just shows you how racist they are. They don't care about their own people. You got people like blacks in Washington, in Chicago, saying, Donald Trump, please send the National Guards, straighten up our neighborhoods. Then you got dumb blacks talking about, oh, if you come here, you gonna have a problem. Hey, they're gonna come there, man, please. You don't even know what you up against. You have no clue what you're up against. They're not a street gang. It ain't the Blood versus the Crips. Please understand that. But whatever it takes, but dum-dums like this brother don't want your neighborhood safe. They want the chaos going on. And Donald Trump is trying to rid the streets of chaos. He wants families, children to be able to walk their communities, play in their communities safely. And what the hell is wrong with that?
Let's pay particular attention to the fact that this strategy is designed completely pursuant to what that fool Steve Bannon said years ago. Flood the zone with ish. In other words, we are now severing any ties with a standard that relies on facts. So what you hear, the Ice Barbie, the Botox Barbie, cosplaying with her cowboy hat on, and then today continuing it, saying is, there is no such thing as facts. What you hear that little Nazi cretin Stephen Miller doing is saying that there is no such thing as facts. Kill everybody you want. They're all drug dealers. They're sexual deviants. They're messing with children. And then when you say, no, they're not, here's the evidence. They're like, yes. And let me say again.
Why are you lying to the people? They are not just lying to you. They tell you these people have done this. What? Show me something. Do you see what they're doing? They're just telling you something. They have no records. They have no evidence. They can't prove nothing to you. But they come up here and blow smoke up your ass and want you to believe what they say, and they are lying to you to keep confusion going because they have a larger agenda, and Roland Martin is beholden to those who wants to destroy this country and to destroy black people as we know them. And that's what's going on here with these house Negroes.
We have to now change the narrative. Congresswoman Crockett, don't cry. Call them what they are, Klansmen, Nazis, and let's roll over their political backs and crush those political backs. You can't, the rhetoric of reason has no place in this. This is a war. They have declared war on human beings. And the response in a war is to fight back.
They want a war. They want to fight, but they really don't. They think they do, but they don't. Your fighting back is going to get you what you claim you don't want. It's going to get you that dictator. It's going to get you that king for a season. But only for a season. Because this whole place is going to get shut down if it continues the way it is going. Please, people, don't buy into the bullshit. Don't buy into what people like Roland Martin, Ricky Smiley, D.L. Hughley, and I can mention them because I hear them all the time. I believe Steve Harvey and others, even Jesse Ventura, the retired wrestler, who I thought was great. Don't buy into what they're saying because they're full of shit. They are full of shit. But you all are going to wake up. You all are smarter than that. And those that are stuck in that, it is what it is. It is what it is. So if you all have enjoyed this, Please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, as always, love you and be kind one to another. Peace.